Some good news, I'm not going to take the clothes off. Some bad news, I've not been to RADA. I'm going to tell you, I'm probably just going to tell you a bit more about my story and my particular scripts. I think that I always feel is the most important, but I'm also going to tell you about what scares me. Right now, things that scare me, there are 4 of my business colleagues in this room that might not have heard me speak. There's my mum in the room, which shits me to death, and my wife, and some really good friends in here. So giving it's costly in some ways. So I intend to do it, but I'm always thankful that so many people listen and hear what I say. So that's what scares me. What scares me more is that I want to say what's really important, and I want to say it this way, and I want to say it that way, because I'm scared that you don't get it, but you do, and you don't get it, and you do, and I hear everybody doing the same. And Jeff's a classic. I always hear him say the same thing lots of times, because he thinks, if I just say it this way, they'll get it. If you just say it this way, they'll get it. So I'm about to do the same. Right, my script is a bit not worse than anybody else. Subtle. I have a very subtle script. I am confident by nature. I don't struggle getting on stage. I don't struggle talking to people. That's never been my issue. The trouble is, my script says I've always got to be this way. I've always got to be confident. And you're going to rely on my confidence because I'm a business leader. I own companies. I'm the managing director of a number of companies. I've got nice cars. I've got a big house. So I've got to look this way all the time. The downside is, inside of me was always saying, somebody's going to notice that you're shite, somebody's going to notice that the rug can go from under your feet, you're an uneducated idiot, you don't, I actually see it as a benefit that I'm actually not held back by the constraints of education. But on the dark moments, I don't see it that way. I think I'm a bit stupid and somebody's going to notice the rug's going to go, and you are going to look at me and go, it was fucking obvious, get back to the council house. Because that's where you're from and that's where you belong. So that's what gets me. There is where my script gets me. And now I'll tell you a little bit about my story. And this is going to be a little bit tough for me. And maybe my mum, I don't know. I'm born in 1967. I'm going to tell you my story starts in 1960. In 1960, my mum is 15 and her mother dies. That leaves my mum to look after her father, and she's an only child. She then, to get out of that situation, because there is no counselling and there is no support, she marries, I suspect, basically the first bloke that comes along, my father. He, politely, is a tosser, because what he does is he sleeps around and doesn't really support my mum and doesn't really help her. And she's already got some things, she's got issues from her previous script and the things that she's carrying. So when she has me some years later, my dad's kind of not that fussed, he's not that bad. He's an alright guy, I see him now and again, but if we're honest about it, you won't choose him as a friend. Going forward from that, my mum gets pregnant again, and when she's rushed into hospital to have a miscarriage, they can't find my dad because, you know what, he's up to the nuts somewhere else. And that's kind of what's going off here. So my mum can't do this anymore because my dad's decided that he wants something different because he doesn't want my mum anymore. So my mum now is forced from Coventry, where we live, up to sunny Belper, where we end up going back to where my granddad lives, and my granddad becomes our life. All this time my mum has never had any proper help, and I'm growing up, so I'm kind of fatherless. I'm an only child. There's not that many of them places where I come from. I don't fit in at school because, funny enough, I'm huge but I'm sensitive. When I go and play with people, I knock them over, and that bothers me. So I don't kind of fit in with things. What I didn't realise, and this is what the beautiful and horrible Liz managed to show me, was that what was going off with me in my life was I was protecting myself and I was never feeling any love. Now the odd thing is, I don't really remember my life up till about 16 because I kind of shut it off. School wasn't fun. I didn't really care for education. It wasn't really for me. Not that there's anything wrong with school, it just kind of didn't work for me. I'm a big thinker, let's say. We'll give myself that excuse. But what then happens is at 16, I decide to put on this new persona, the new Chris Plumley, me, who decides that I am not going to have nothing. I'm not a council house kid. I'm something better than that. So I'm going to be a millionaire. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a millionaire. So I set about creating businesses and becoming this very confident, very big character, which is very easy when you believe in it, but you have to live it, and it's fucking hard work living this. And I didn't know this, and this is where the subtlety was in my script until I met BC, the 5 day. Obviously prior to that I said, I'll come along because I'll probably be useful for other people. Mine was fine, I'm good, I'm 8 out of 10, who needs more than that? I might have gone a bit adrift here. So all this has gone off, and I've been relatively successful, always concerned that somebody's going to pull the rug, and then I go to BC and realise something incredible about myself, something I never knew. I told my story, which I didn't think I had one. Other people tell me I did, and I now accept I did. And I had 5 people in the room, or 6, 8, I remember anymore, 7 people in the room that said, it's bloody hard work being you, isn't it? And I thought, not really, no, pretty damn good being me, thanks. And then I realised that perhaps it was slightly hard work, because it's kind of a lot of pretence to put up. And then when we went for a meal, Liz said to me something along the lines of, if somebody told you your story to you, how do you think it'd get you? And I welled up. So I kind of thought at this point I probably ought to tell myself that story in the third person. So that evening I did. And it was kind of a frightening realisation that what I'd managed to achieve was, because my mum was poorly and she'd suffered from depression, unbeknown to herself, and made it to the ripe age of, I think, 56-ish, before she was carted away to the padded cell, where she got some decent help. My mum had not been able to really show me the love that you would normally accept. And there's no dad, because he kind of didn't bother, and my granddad's a proper blokey bloke. He doesn't do that kind of stuff. It's a fantastic man, I'm not knocking him at all. But I'd never really felt that love. So I suddenly realised that I'd managed to achieve best part of 40 odd years without ever really feeling love. I didn't know about the feelings thing. It's been a bloody roller coaster since I found out feelings. Come on, with 40 years and not realising that you've got feelings and loves and all this kind of stuff. It's been very, very interesting. Just this up and down, you know, I'm suddenly a bloke that can cry and think, shit, this is not. But it happens, and I'm not embarrassed of it. I've never been embarrassed of myself and stuff I do. But what did always get me at the time was I always thought my concern was for my mum, because I felt she'd been robbed. And my mum's great now. She's a lot of good stuff's happened to her, and I'm really pleased that she's here today. But I'm the child. I miss my childhood. I never had one as such, and didn't really realise where it had gone. It was Liz that met, and the process, and Richard that allowed me to understand that. And if I could just get people to understand that sometimes it's not about the people that are banging their heads against the wall, it's them that are putting up a front sometimes. It's living that something else. I understand Gary Speed. I'm prepared to take a guess at what's gone off in his life. He is put on such a pedestal that only he can know that he's not that person, where they think he's that 100% of the time. But he knows that he's not brilliant, he's not perfect, and it's painful. And what scares me the most, he's now idolised for taking his own life. More men are going to think that's a good way of going on. Somebody I don't really know committed suicide in Derby. I was Facebooking and talking to some friends, and I said to them, did I know this person? He said, no, you didn't really know. I said, but you know what the strangest thing was? A week later, somebody else who went to that funeral committed suicide. And you know what we came up with? It was the only chance that they could get any reverence in their life, because they saw these people being thought of as better than what they really thought about themselves. And that scares the shit out of me. That really scares me. So I don't know if I've spoke to anybody. I don't know if you've heard anything. I've kind of half prepared something a little bit earlier, and one of the things that I kind of think that you're in the safest environment you're ever going to be in, hearing the most dangerous thing you're ever going to hear. That if you get BC, if you really, really get BC, you're going to change. You're going to change the world. You change everything. Everything changes if you get it. Safe environment, dangerous story. And here, in this moment, I'm there. The best moment of my life. Oh no, this one. Oh no, this one. That's it. Here, now. Best moment of my life. And I'm living it. That's what I'm there means. Not back then. History, lovely place to visit. Not really fond of staying there. Future, no history, not bothered because there's no history. Right now, right here, that's what I think what BC is giving me. I've had a great life. I'm not moaning about what was going on before, but this is so much better. And you know, I get the feeling, you know, when my wife hugs me, I get that feeling of love now that I never understood before. And I've told the story before, you know, my best mate hugs me quite regularly, because I'm not against it, but I always kind of felt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, benefit for you, thank you very much. When I first got back from BC, I told him a little bit about the story, and I had to confess to him that I'd never really got anything from his hugs, and he was genuinely quite upset and said to me, I'm really sorry, because I've always got a lot from that, and I was, you know, almost like tearful and saying, well, you know, I just had to tell you that. By chance that evening, him and his wife came to see me to tell me that they're having their first baby, and me being blokey clueless and not worked out that she wasn't drinking and she was getting fat. And when I gave them that hug, I can't buy that feeling. I can't buy that thing. And I've got nice things, and none of them's meant what that meant to me. I'm like Jeff, like everybody else that spoke. I could go on and go on. I really could. And you have to stop it somewhere. I just hope that if I just talk to somebody, it's worth any amount of my time and pain, and I don't feel no pain. I'm proud to say what I need to say. I'm proud to have my mum hear it, my wife hear it, people that I respect in business, people that I have partnerships with in business. There's a lot of possibility of embarrassment in here if they weren't such brilliant people. If you weren't such brilliant people, if you were what's out there. We are the best of the best. We change the world. Thank you.